Well, welcome. We are so pleased to have you here with us today for the Circle of Entrepreneurs panelist discussion on B Corps. I'm Meg Trite and have the honor of serving as the Regional Director of North America. And my co-host today to help facilitate this discussion is Sarah Redding. Sarah is the Regional Director of Asia Pacific, residing in New Zealand. The Circle of Entrepreneurs believes that business can be both profitable and a force for good. The Circle empowers people to drive social impact through business by nurturing a community of purpose-driven entrepreneurs and allies, providing a space in which they can grow and flourish. We are a global nonprofit movement of over 5,000, and we're passionate about social entrepreneurship. So Sarah, do you want to share the background on why we wanted to have this discussion today?
Yes, thanks, Meg. So as Meg mentioned, one of our core values at the Circle is that business can and should be a force for good, and that profit and purpose aren't mutually exclusive, and that actually by taking a purposeful approach to profit, businesses can leave their teams, communities, and our planet better off for it. And so what we realized is that we share the same philosophy with B Corp certified businesses. And so we thought it would be an awesome idea to bring together a panel of expert B Corp consultants in that field together to discuss B Corp certification, its benefits, and why more businesses should get behind it. And that's why we're all here today. We have a panel of amazing experts joining us from New Zealand and the US, who I'm very excited to introduce to everyone now. So first off, we have Tim Jones with us today, and Tim is the founder of Grow Good, a B Corp certified consulting business, which helps others start and achieve their B Corp certification journey. He's New Zealand's first qualified B Corp consultant, having successfully completed the B Corp ANZ training program. And I'll just hand over to Tim to give us a brief intro.
Oh, kura koutou, as we say here in New Zealand. Yeah, so B Corp, here's my little certificate on my wall behind me. I think it's a pretty cool framework. Yeah, I think everything that you've said about, balancing purpose and profit is the key thing. And that's really what Grow Good is all about, is helping people find what I call their purpose-fueled performance. If you can find an individual and an organizational level, your purpose, and you can connect into it and you can measure and report all the good that you're doing, it's like nuclear fission for business and for individuals. So yeah, looking forward to the chat and seeing what we can cover today.
Awesome, thanks, Tim. And next, I'd like to introduce Barbara Nebel. Barbara is the CEO of thinkstep ANZ, which is also a certified B Corp business, and they provide sustainability consulting and projects, including B Corp consulting and sustainability support to help their clients be business ready to achieve their B Corp certification. And Barbara, I'll hand it over to you.
Thank you, Sarah. So I'm Barbara, and at thinkstep ANZ, we enable businesses to succeed sustainably. Again, it is about using sustainability to be a successful business. And B Corp for us is just that. It summarizes everything that a business could be doing to be sustainable. And what we realize, it's very cool that a lot of businesses, also larger ones, are now starting to realize that sustainability is more than carbon, and it needs to be that full, complete picture. And that is what B Corp does.
Awesome, thanks, Barbara. And our third wonderful panelist is Sirena Andras. Sirena is the founder of Creative Chi, based in Miami, Florida, and she is all about empowering impact with sustainable branding. And she also leads a B Corp certified business. So Sirena, I'll hand over to you.
Hi, hello, nice to have you. Nice to be here with you. So what B Corp means for me, it means that in my job as a branding and marketing person, I don't have to lie anymore. I don't have to fake the story. I don't have to make it up. I don't have to work with brands that are doing evil things in the world. I get to empower those brands that want to create impact and work with them. So that's why I became a B Corp personally, and I love it as a branding person because it's a brand. That B in a circle is a brand. It's like, in addition to whatever brand you already have, now you have a second club of fans, because anybody that's in sustainability or wants to do good through their purchases or through working with other businesses now knows they have an icon, and you know that that business is doing as much as they possibly can to be in that positive ripple effect. So love B Corp. I love this conversation. Thanks for having us.
Wonderful. Thanks, Sirena. And I think that actually leads nicely to our first question. We'll dive into the dialogue now, and we thought it would be a great place to start with discussing some of the benefits of becoming a B Corp certified business, and why more businesses should see the value of going through the journey to become certified and achieving that B Corp certification. And Sirena, we thought we'd start with you on that one.
Perfect. I got a head jump already. So there are so many benefits. I don't want to take up, I could take up a whole hour talking about all of the benefits. But let's just say from a brand perspective and a branding person in marketing, positioning your brand so that you have loyal customers and you're differentiating yourself from somebody else. So if there's a lot of people in the same market doing the same thing, saying that they're sustainable, you get to prove that you're sustainable, and you get to do it with, B Corp. That's one of the biggest positions, but also just from a personal standpoint, I want to work somewhere that I love, and being a B Corp means that I get to focus on creating a shift in the planet, which is what I love.
Amazing.
I can definitely chime in with some benefits for being a B. I mean, the B stands for benefit corporation, so there has to be some benefits, right, for being a benefit corporation. I think at the highest level, it's getting to sleep well at night, knowing that your business is contributing to trying to make a positive contribution to the world. Like, that has to be the biggest benefit for any business owner that's considering B Corp or wanting to do more good. But if you look at really, this is why for me, like, B Corp is a slam dunk argument, because if you just care about making more money, then you should be a B Corp as well. So there's some really cool data sets that have come out. One from the UK, this is from 2018, so maybe needs a bit of update. But it was a journal in the UK called The Grocer, which looks at consumer facing brands, mainly sort of consumer brands. And they showed that in 2018, the average B Corp company grew by 14% compared to GDP growth of 0.5%. And the 150 companies that were surveyed, a third of them said that they'd attracted new customers specifically because they were a B Corp. And almost half of them said that they'd attracted new staff because they were a B Corp. There's another study from the University of Ghent that surveyed all the European B corporations between 2012 and 2018. And they basically empirically showed that the turnover growth rate 1 year pre-certification, your growth rate was higher 1 year post-certification. So if you just care about making money, you should definitely be a B Corp. But if you care about anything else, if you want to get better customers, if you want to have better employees and retain your staff, increasingly we're seeing people, supply chain putting pressure on. I've just started working with a client. They sell into a bigger company, and that bigger company's emailed all their suppliers to say, hey, we want to know a little bit more about your social and environmental impact. And they're this smaller company, like, where do we start? And I said, well, just become a B Corp and you'll be able to hand it back to them on a platter and maintain that relationship. And lastly, investors are driving this. The amount of ESG investment is growing and growing and growing. So even in New Zealand, we're pretty late to the party normally on a lot of sustainability initiatives. One of our biggest regional banks here recently issued a $100 million ESG-backed loan to Kathmandu, who's one of the biggest B corporations in this region, which essentially means they get access to cheaper money if they maintain and increase their B Corp score. So it's like, show me why you wouldn't be a B Corp and I'll have a conversation with you. But it's a slam dunk argument as far as I'm concerned.
I fully agree. The examples of being able to attract more staff and more clients, we can tick both those boxes as well. It's really hard at the moment to find good people, but especially in New Zealand, because we're only a limited pool of people in this country. We need a lot more people doing sustainability work. So there's a fair bit of competition going on, but we are able to attract really cool people because we're a B Corp. In every second interview that we do with a candidate at the moment, we ask, so why thinkstep? Well, because you're a B Corp. And we also have quite a few clients coming saying we want to align with the right people who not only know the technical stuff, but who actually want to do something good. And we're on the journey. We might not become a B Corp, and I'll have that conversation with them separately, but they realize what the values of being a B Corp is, and they identify with that. There are quite a few businesses out there who tell me what they do for their environment, for their communities, how they look after their staff. And I say, you sound like a B Corp. They go, what is a B Corp? And then when I tell them about it, they go, well, I think we are a B Corp. We might not be certified yet, but it's absolutely taking hold in New Zealand and Australia, that businesses are on that track. And I think B Corp just gives that recognition for it, for what a lot of really good businesses are already doing. And yeah, that was one of the reasons for us to become a B Corp as soon as we could, because we were a subsidiary of a global company, and as that we couldn't do it. But as soon as we were our own after a buyout, we went on the journey to get certified for a B Corp. And it, yeah, has really proven well. And it's the feedback we get from clients who are now on the journey to become a B Corp. And it's the bigger companies too. Traditionally, it was a lot of the smaller companies, but now it's also the larger companies.
That's very interesting, Barbara. And I'm just curious, Sirena, are you seeing the same thing here in the US in terms of trends?
There has definitely been a influx in B Corps, huge during COVID. I think that overall in the world, I think that there were 4,000 certified B Corps and 4,000 applied in the last year. So we're talking about doubling in 1 year, because I think that the time has come, the time is now. There's that famous quote, which I can't remember who said it, about there's nothing more powerful than an idea whose time has come. And this idea's time has come. And COVID has been a catalyst of everybody just going, whoa, I have a minute to think, and I hate what I'm doing, or I hate how I'm doing it, which is my story. I hated how I was doing it, why I was doing it, why I was using my talents to lie to people. And I think that everybody sort of was in that space of what are we doing and how do we shift? And, 15 million people in the United States have quit their jobs in the past 6 months. And you don't have the great resignation. You don't have people just walking out because they love their job or, they need more time. No, they want a major shift in their life. So B Corp is sort of that catalyst, that space where we can start shifting things.
Thanks, Sirena. That kind of is a good segue into our next question, which is what success stories can you share about companies becoming B Corp certified? So hoping to hear some shifts there as well. And Barbara, we'll let you take this one. Oop, I think you're muted. There we go.
Well, I think the largest successes really for those companies are that they are now more easily recognized for what they already do. I haven't worked with a company who's actually shifted what they do because they became certified, because they become certified very often to actually be recognized for being a good company. But having that actual recognition for it is really valuable to those brands. It is about it's the same for us. We always had our people, if they wanted to volunteer somewhere, they said, oh, we want to have, I don't know, a day to teach somewhere at a university or to teach at the local school. We went, yeah, sure, go. That's a great idea, definitely. But we didn't have any policies around that, and we didn't keep track of those sorts of things. So it also enables us to actually tell the stories better and to encourage people to actively do those things. So, and that's the same for the businesses who have become a B Corp. They are now able to actually tell those stories and to tell the stories. And because it's certified, it's measured. So you also have that encouragement to do better in future, to do more good. And I think that sort of benchmarking, which is also a really valuable thing.
Can I jump in? I've got a couple of good Kiwi examples. I think my all-time favorite B Corp to date is a company based here in Otatahi, Christchurch, called Etique, and they sell solid bar beauty, health and beauty products. So Brianne, the founder, if you haven't interviewed Brianne, you should definitely get her onto your group, because she is just like a one-woman wrecking ball for goodness. Her whole thing, she was a biochemist, I think, by training, and she looked at the shampoos and conditioners and health and beauty products that were sold, and they mainly were full of chemicals that you have no real idea what they are and how toxic they might be. You've got a plastic container that's 90% water with a small bit of shampoo or conditioner in it. So her whole business was built around getting rid of the bottle. And I think she was B Corp number 3 in New Zealand. This would be sometime probably like 2015. So really, really early in the piece. Her business is now a global phenomenon, because it's a business that you cannot hate. Like you look at Etique and everything that they're doing, and you go, your packaging's amazing, your supply chain's amazing, you treat your employees really well, you're solving a massive environmental challenge with getting rid of plastic bottles. It's like, I can't hate you. I can't find anything to look at you and go, oh yeah, but you're not doing this. And so that for me is an example. I will always use them as an example. Like, if you can show me something that they're doing badly, and they're historically the highest scoring B Corp in New Zealand, which is why it's really hard to find anything that they're doing badly. The second one would be the first B Corp here in New Zealand, called Eagle Protect. Steve Arder, the CEO, he rightly describes himself as the dirtiest B Corp in the world, because they import single-use disposable gloves for food hygiene and medical practices. But as he says, if you're going to the doctor or the dentist, would you like them to be wearing the same pair of gloves all day, or would you like a fresh pair of gloves when they do an examination on you? And it's like, that's a fair call. But he was B Corp number 1, and B Corp for him has definitely been a tool that has seen his business grow from outside of just New Zealand. Steve lives in Tahoe, and he's grown the business into the US, and a large part of that success in terms of gaining the right investment partners, but also getting some really good big customers in the US, has been the fact that they're the only supplier, of protective equipment that's a B Corp. So they have, and I think this is the key, and maybe Sirena can talk to this, like, just getting the certificate on the wall is part of the piece. You have to do 2 other things. You have to bake the story in internally and bring the staff and everyone internally on the journey, so that they get a sense of the good that we're actually doing, and they connect to that, which is where you get that feeling of meaning and everyone connected to the good you're doing. But you have to effectively tell the story to the right stakeholders, because otherwise it's just a certificate on the wall, and most people go, why aren't you an A Corp? Like, surely you should be that if you're so amazing. So yeah, I don't know if Sirena can show anything about effectively nailing the external story.
External and internal. So part of the B Corp is really embodying that purpose. So many other companies, they talk about their mission statements. They have it on a wall somewhere. They never look at it again. They pay some big branding agency to make all of this fluff. They put it on a wall. Nobody gives a crap about it. B Corps live it. They embody it every day. And one of the most beautiful things about being a B Corp, I can tell you a story of a local business who just certified as a B Corp here in Miami. They're a swim school, and they have 5 different locations here in Miami. They have 125 employees. The employees are the ones that are over the moon about this certification. They have never been anywhere or worked at a job where they were empowered to create more sustainable options and figure out more social things and more environmental things that they can do. And they're the ones taking the reins and running with it. I mean, the CEO was the person who initiated it, but the employees took it over. And if you can have engaged employees, you can basically, the statistics say that an engaged employee can produce at 225%. That means that they're doing the work of 2 people. So if you can fully engage your employees on purpose, you can have half the staff. Same amount of money. Here we go back to that, making money, having a great place to work at. For me, it's a win-win. And I've just seen story after story of employee engagement, of going to work fueled with a purpose, and having a happy life because of it.
I've got one other example, and that is also how B Corp ties in with other certifications. a client of ours is going for cradle to cradle certification for their products. And cradle to cradle for the product is, for me, what B Corp is for the organization. So the B Corp is the how you behave, and the cradle to cradle is how you produce your products. Now, the cradle to cradle certification looks at healthy materials, circular economy, carbon, and social fairness. So you actually need to be a good business doing good to get the product certification. But what Cradle to Cradle do, at least in the current version, is to recognize B Corp certification for the social fairness aspect, because they realize we don't have to come up with all our own criteria, and a large chunk of that will be dealt with if a company already is a B Corp. So you've ticked that box, not in a bad sense, ticking the box, but by already being a B Corp, you can achieve other things then as well. And that is, I think, this interaction between how a business behaves and how they produce their products is B Corp does quite all of the how.
Well, one more example, building on what Sirena was saying as well. So I just finished helping a company here called Genora. They are an amazing company that makes collagen-based health and nutrition products. And when I work doing the B consulting with a company, typically, like they have a company size of 20 people. So in a company that size, I might typically suggest they have 4 or 5 people that we come and do the assessment work together. They had all 20 employees. So we had the whole company sat around, we're going through the assessment question by question, and they were going, I had like, some of them would, like the warehouse lady, Meg, would go, I had no idea we were doing that in the office. And it's like, cool. So now you know what you're all doing. But the sense of engagement and connection that they all had, and they thought they were doing some stuff pretty good. But there was it's like being the fish in water. There's typically a whole lot of stuff that you're doing that you just do because, and it's not, as Barbara was saying, there's a lot of businesses that they're doing good, but they just think that's normal. And when they started going through the assessment, and it's like, hang on a minute, you could be a very high scoring B Corp here, and they were just like, wow, like we had no idea that we were this good. And you cannot. It's really hard to capture that and bottle it, but going through the B Corp process well and telling the story, it's gold dust. Yeah.
That's fantastic. Thank you for sharing all those examples. It's amazing to hear what people can achieve when they go through this process. And I think picking up on what you just said, Tim, about being able to share what businesses are already doing externally with their customers and their market is amazing. How the B Corp certification can demonstrate to that external market what businesses are already doing, but might not realize the powerful impact that it can have on their target market and consumers and everything. And I think that leads quite nicely into our next question, which is, I'm sure a lot of people that might watch this webinar and engage in this narrative might be working for a business, wondering what they can do to get their organization excited and involved in the idea of going down this B Corp journey, no matter what their position is, whether they're at the top in the C-suite or someone working in any role. What's the best way, I guess, to start the conversation and sort of help businesses get on that journey? And Tim, we thought we'd open up the floor to you on that one.
Oh, so I call these people the concerned citizen. So I frequently get someone, they're like, hi, my name's Sarah. I'm ringing you, but my boss doesn't know. I'd really like us to be a B Corp. How do I convince my boss? I get that call so many times. It's a great place it's a great thing to have, but it can be challenging, because if the C-suite, the managing director, the owner, whatever, if they're genuinely not interested, it's really, really hard. And sometimes it can be a 1 or 2 year journey to convince the right people, particularly in a larger company. Financial years, CEOs come and go. It's like asking dad for the car keys when you're a teenager. Like, you got to pick your moment. Are they in a good mood? Am I asking on the right day? Is it the right person? The key piece of advice I always give is keep kind of going up your food chain and keep asking people, like, what are the top 3 things that are keeping you awake at night right now? Because most senior leaders, CEOs, managing directors, what have you, they'll have 3 to 5 things that are on their list that are keeping them awake, because they either want to achieve them or they're scared something's going to happen. And if you can work out what those 3 to 5 things are, and then find the evidence from a B Corp perspective and a purpose perspective as to how you might be able to help solve that problem. Because not many people, like if people are thinking, oh my gosh, we're really struggling to get employees right now. Well, they might be sitting down with their HR team thinking about incentives and benefits and da-da-da-da-da. But have they actually considered maybe we have a meaningless company that no one wants to work for fundamentally? Well, that's a purpose and B Corp solution. So it's finding what the problem is or what you're trying to achieve, and then working out. And I think that's where people like myself and Barbara and Sirena, anyone who's in a B Corp can give you some advice. The other thing I would always suggest is go and connect with the B Corps locally within your region. Start building connections, start looking to see how maybe, like if you're in a position where you can make a decision, see if you can start working with a B Corp to get one in your supply chain, because doing good is infectious and contagious. Once people come across a B Corp, there's just an energy that B Corps kind of have. It's like the vibe is there. And once people start bumping up against other B Corps, it's kind of like, actually, it's like B Corps are trying to have the best party on the street so that everyone comes and joins us. So when you go to a B Corp event, it's just full of great people having a good time. And so you can kind of maybe wear down the person who's, really resistant to this idea by just bringing them to the B Corp party.
They are human-centric organizations. That is my experience of working with B Corps versus standard corporations, that we really just have a human approach to doing business. We do business with other people. We don't do business with business. We do business with people, and we listen, and we have, open eyes, open hearts. And why wouldn't you want to be that? And honestly, B Corp is not for everyone. There are companies that are just not going to be a B Corp. And if you're in one of those corporations, there's a nifty little tool on the B Corp website where you can find B Corp jobs. I highly suggest you check that out and apply for a new job, because the cream rises to the top. The good talent is going to go to the good companies. And that's the bottom line. And sometimes you're in a situation where you can try, and there are companies that will listen. And if you are in a level of sort of authority and leadership, and you can guide that, then guide it. Please do. We need as many B Corps as we can get. But if it's falling on deaf ears, seriously, don't waste your time. Go find a B Corp to work for, or start your own. That might take a little longer, but I promise you could do that too.
I think it comes back to what Tim said at the very beginning. It's B Corps also do make more money. And if that is what the CEOs or general managers or whatever they are in those businesses are driven by, just give them the examples. So we always are about the translating. So sometimes I say I'm not a consultant, I'm a translator. And my languages are sustainability, business, still working on the English, and it's really translating sustainability into the business language, because quite often there are different tribes. Sometimes there is sort of a growing momentum of them being one and the same tribe, but they're still very often just don't understand each other. One understands the language of investment, capital return, budgets, and the other one understand community, emissions, doing good. And if you are able to translate that, as in, if you are a B Corp, you might be able to secure more revenue, or to actually just build in some revenue resilience, because some of your clients are B Corps, are looking for them. You also save cost by keeping the staff, not having to go through a lot of recruitment, the brand value, of course. And also, once you've gone through the assessment, you've identified potential risks, and you start doing something about them. So it's on all those fronts. Those are really good arguments to convince those from the business tribe to actually get onto the sustainability journey and understand that language better.
Just on that resilience piece, there were some really good stats. So B Lab, the non-profit group that runs the certification program, essentially, they run an annual impact report, and some of the stats from 2020, 52% of B Corps hired more employees in 2020. 47% of B Corps had employee growth of more than 15%, and 2/3 of all B Corps increased revenue in 2020. So in a global pandemic, B Corps in general were scaling and growing. That is clearly not the same for most. Obviously, there are some nuances with like how many hospitality businesses are B Corps. Probably not as many as there are other brands, but still, and the same stats were there from the GFC in 2008. B Corps in general outperformed the market in terms of resilience during a tough time, and this is why I say it's a slam dunk argument. If you, and I kind of don't care if ultimately you sell it into your business by it's the profit thing, because once you get into doing good, once you get I call it the purpose horizon. Today you can only see so far forward into purpose and how much good you can do, but it can take, once you start doing it, you'll just want to, unless you're you know, the boss is a genuine narcissistic psychopath, in which case it will just be about the money for them forever and ever. But in general, most of those people, like, they're lost, but most normal bosses and CEOs will suddenly come into the fold of, actually, this purpose thing, I get it now, and it's about legacy and what business am I leaving here, rather than, like, a question I like to ask CEOs is, can you give me the name of the company that was number 3 on the New Zealand Stock Exchange in May 2013? Like, no, of course you can't, because nobody cares. But can you name me a brand that's done something cool and innovative and helped some people recently? And they'll be like, oh yeah, that brand did something really cool. So it's like, you know, we've been choosing the wrong metrics typically in business. And so helping, getting people, initially, if it's about the same metrics, but we can like slowly move them by 5 degrees each year to be more purpose driven. Like, I'm cool with that, as long as we get them in.
I just had a follow-up question. Sorry, I'm going a little bit rogue off our questions that we were going to cover today, but hearing what you guys have just talked about, if we sort of flip to the other end of the trajectory, if we have some businesses and some people who are on board and they're thinking, yes, we want to start this journey, can you guys just give us a few thoughts and ideas on where businesses should start if they're sitting there thinking, actually, this sounds fantastic and we would like to either do the assessment or start our certification process? What should they be doing? Where should they start? I guess sometimes that could be daunting in itself. So what would be some good tips for people or businesses that have decided they would like to get on board? What should they do next?
I can start. I think the first is to talk to some other B Corps, ask for their experience. And the second is to just give the self-assessment a go. Just go in there and do it. And don't spend hours in trying to get the right answer for every single question if you go it through the first time. It's just about exploring what those questions actually are. And that's also the advice when we talk to businesses, go, oh, we have no idea. They don't even know about B Corp and they've never heard about it, might not want to become one, but we want to do sustainability because we think we do the right thing, but we don't actually know how to go about it, where to start. I'll send them to do the self-assessment because it's almost like a gap assessment for them to go, okay, well, we should be doing those things, or we should be thinking about those things. And as Tim said before, they'll probably do half of those things already without being specifically aware of them. So self-assessment, just give it a go. Don't get hung up on some of the questions. So sort of not quite race through, but just sort of go through and explore and talk to other B Corps.
Also, I'd add, like tell as many people, like bring as many people on the journey. Like there's 2 good examples. I won't name names, but there's 2 good examples in New Zealand where one company, basically, it was the sustainability manager, did the certification on their own. They got certified as a B Corp. The CEO sends an all company email, hey, everyone, we're a B Corp. And everyone in the company's like, I have literally no idea what you're talking about. Versus another company of a similar size, they had a team of about 20 people in the company whose job was to go and find points and work out what they needed to change. It took them quite a long time to get certification, but the whole team was brought on the journey. And for me, that's the key thing. Like if you're the curious or the concerned citizen, and you've got the approval to go and explore it, try and bring some people on the journey. I typically call that person the king or queen bee, and then you get some beekeepers around you. Like get those people, and ideally across the company, so that you're spreading this vibe across, depending on the size and scale of the company. But you want to get the vibe and the curiosity going across as much of the company as possible, because that's where you'll get the most gains.
Agreed. And another place that is great to start is usually in your local community. I know that when I became a B Corp here in Miami, I was one of 3, so there was no local community, but I immediately started a community to educate people, educate businesses on what B Corp was. So now we have Impact Mission Miami, where we invite any Miami business that wants to do well, to do good through business, to create a positive ripple effect. And that's our hub, basically, where we can bounce ideas off of each other, and we can help people that are in businesses or outside of businesses, trying to create this shift. So look around you. You never know what local resources that you might have and community that you might have, either locally or now, ever after COVID, there's a plethora of sort of virtual places where you can go to.
That's definitely good advice. In Australia, New Zealand, we call them B local chapters. So that's a great, if you're in New Zealand, Auckland, Wellington, Christchurch, we have B local chapters. Mike Carroll from Brightly is our Auckland. He's just amazing, particularly through lockdowns. They've been trying to keep the community going. Find connect with me or Barbara or Sirena. We'll help you find those people if you can't find them. But yeah, B locals or local community chapters are definitely a really good place. Just, like I say, go and connect to the party and see what it's all about. So yeah, definitely agree with that.
Fantastic recommendations on how to get started from all of you. Thank you. And appreciate you all offering to be resources for those who are interested in your areas. So another question I had around getting started is, could you guys share with us what can people expect in terms of the timing? So for the application process, how long does it take? What kind of expectations can we have there? And then also maybe if you could share any common challenges you've seen during the application process, and what that looks like.
Personally, as a micro business, it took me a long time to get through because I was doing it alone, sort of off and on. It took me a full year to get through it. But this was 6 years ago when I started. It was 6 years ago when I started, and there were no resources, and nobody in Miami knew what I was talking about. So there was nobody I could bounce ideas off of, ask questions to. But now it's a different place. So time, the commitment that you're willing to give it. If you're going at it alone, it's going to be a while. There's resources, including here. There's universities that take corporations on for free and walk them through it. And of course, I think that Tim should speak to this because he is very well versed in getting people through it.
Well, thank you. The time thing is a really interesting one. So I remember there's a company here called Blacksmith. They do conscious leadership training, and I think they certified as B Corp number 7. They were just before me. I was B Corp number 8 in New Zealand, and I remember talking to Kate and Paul, the people that run it, and they said it took them 90 minutes to go through the assessment. Now that's because they were chapter leaders of conscious capitalism here in New Zealand. Their business, as Barbara sort of alluded, their business was a B Corp. They just had to go through and basically upload some documents, and away they went. Compared to some other businesses, like I guess Steve at Eagle would say he'd be one of these. Sinlay, who is basically a milk powder manufacturing and distribution company here in New Zealand. It took them 2 years to certify, and they sneaked in with 80.1. And they had to make some massive changes in their corporation to enable them to get those points. So the timeline really depends on what you're currently doing and how quickly you can make change happen. And typically the bigger you are, if you're publicly listed, if you've got masses of shareholders, it can take time to get board approval and resolutions, and what it took to sometimes make a relatively small change in a business. Smaller businesses, as Sirena said, the challenge is typically just capacity, time. You're a small business. If you've got family, I know what it's like. You get to Friday and it's like, yeah, I could look at this assessment thing, or I could go and have a wine or a cocktail or a beer. Yeah, I think I'm going to the pub. Some people, I spoke to someone yesterday. I said to her, what have you done so far? And she said, well, I kind of opened the assessment, and I said, let me guess, you were kind of like this. She's like, yeah, it was pretty scary. So I get it. So some companies can get through the questions pretty quickly. So I typically spend between 4 and 6 hours with a company, and we just go through all of the questions, and we get them, you know, the answers that they can give today. We'll also give them some advice around, well, look, if you were to institute this policy, and like as Serena's saying, there are loads of resources. I've got loads of templates and resources that I give away to clients who are working with me. It's like, if you were to put an ethical marketing policy in, you're going to get, I don't know, whatever it is, 0.75 of a point. Cool. If you're happy to do that, I've got a template for you. You can look at it, you can review it, you can update it, make it yours. You've got it. So it is like, when I'm about to start working with companies, I say, look, I don't know how long it's going to take until we lift the lid and have a look at your company. Because if you're a tobacco company selling cigarettes to 15-year-olds outside schools, well, you're going to struggle to be a B Corp, full stop. But, you know, if you're not built to be a B Corp, it's going to take you longer. And so, but yeah, typically to get the questions answered, you can get through them all in about 4 to 6 hours. Then the homework side of it is going to be dependent on how close to being a B Corp you currently are. I always advise people in year 1, just get certified. Like, so many people go, oh yeah, but if we just implement this, and 2 years later, you're still not a B Corp. And by then the assessment's updated, it's a new assessment, and half the work you did last time is now irrelevant. Like, year 1, get in, get certified, get the benefits of the certification. Then currently it's a 3-year recertification cycle. You've got 3 years to then look at all the other little projects and places you want to be better at, and put a plan and put a process in place so that in 3 years your score's gone up. So yeah.
I agree. It really entirely depends on how much you've already done. So it might be faster for a smaller business, but then some of the larger businesses who already behave like a B Corp, they would have already done things like, they know what their carbon footprint is. They already have measures in place to reduce the carbon footprint. They might have already done a waste audit, and those sort of things are asked for as well. So those questions can be faster sometimes for larger companies. So it really depends on how far the journey you already are on. So
one thing also to make note is the demand on the system is extremely high currently. The B Corp movement had a growth of 25% in 2020. There can be some significant wait times for you so that the process typically looks like, you do this initial self-assessment, which you go to bimpactassessment.net. It's completely free to do. You can like muck around with it. You can answer all the questions, change all your, like nothing's going to be, nothing's going to happen. You have to meet the minimum criteria of 80 out of 200 points, which a lot of people go, man, how easy is this thing? That's like not even half marks. The median score for most companies attempting it first time round is between 40 and 50. So to even get 80, like a lot of people go, oh, they snuck in with 80.1. It's like, yep, but they're still a B Corp, and what's your score? So once you're at the 80 out of 200 threshold, you click submit. And then you wait in a queue to be assigned a standards assessor or a verifier from B Lab. Small businesses are moving through relatively quickly because they're easier and quicker to assess. Like if you're a small business like mine, like I currently have 0 employees, like it's pretty easy for them to audit my business through that verification queue. If you're a massive multinational company with 7 global subsidiaries, you could be in the queue for up to sort of 8 months, because you're such a big entity that they have to assess. So there is some wait times. They are working on that. They're hiring. They've hired, I think, Barbara, it's like 3 or 4 people in the Melbourne team, just locally. I think they've also outsourced to an independent auditing company to help them on a global level. It's a great problem to be having, too many people interested in this certification. So bear that in mind. It's not going to be like, hey, we've done the sort of 5 to 6 hours of question answering. We do maybe 10 hours of homework collating the data that we definitely need, and then we click submit and we're a B Corp. There will be a bit of a wait time, but hey, all good things take some time. So
our US current waiting time is about 6 to 8 months for anybody. Unfortunately, they just don't have the manpower right now. A good friend of mine did a very funny sort of social media event where he got 80 points in 80 hours, and he did the whole assessment like live stream. It's very funny. That was months ago, and he's like, yep, just waiting for an answer from B Corp still. So he did it in 80 hours, but they're going to take 8 months. But it is what it is. Just keep it in mind. Be patient, right?
think that because that always for me raises an interesting point, because a lot of people I work with say, oh, should we talk about us going on the journey to be a B Corp, or do we wait until we're certified? And it'd be interesting to get your thoughts. Sorry, I'm now going rogue and taking over the question, asking Meg and Sarah, but hey, we're here now. For me, I think my personal opinion is start telling the story as soon as you can. Like, we're on the journey, we're not going to be perfect, we don't know when we're going to certify, but we're doing some good. Whereas a lot of people, I think there's a part of people who are doing good is they're typically more humble and they don't want to actually tell people that we're doing some good. But yeah, from a marketing branding perspective, what would you advise someone?
Definitely. So part of branding a purpose-driven business is being authentic. And if we're a hot mess, we're failing. We're a hot mess and we're failing. But at least, you know, it makes good story. It makes authentic, connected story. Oh, look at that business. They screwed up. They tried. They failed. Whatever it is. Or when you do fail, admit it. Just go, yep, I screwed up. Sorry. Here's what we're going to put in place to try to make this never happen again, or to amend, or whatever. And it's still all really good story. What's that quote about? No bad publicity still being good publicity. It's the same thing, but you have to come from an authentic, you know, real place. You can't be fake about this kind of stuff, because then it just comes off as yucky. So as long as you're doing it from an authentic place, yeah, take them on the journey. Everybody wants to see the behind the scenes.
I fully agree. And why be different about wanting to be a B Corp than setting a carbon target? Everyone announces their carbon targets. They don't go and wait until they've actually achieved it. They just set a target now for 2030 and talk about it now, going, well, we've set a really ambitious target, or we've set a science-based target. And they don't do that now and wait until they don't set the target and wait until they achieved it and then say, we've set ourselves a target and actually achieved it now. They tell the story now. And why should that be different for B Corp? Set yourself a target to become a B Corp and talk about it. Yeah.
Absolutely. I think that's fantastic advice. And even though the wait times might be long and getting longer by the sounds of it, with more businesses wanting to get involved, I guess the time is going to pass anyway. So, you know, you might as well get started now and get things underway. So we've covered some great areas today. I am feeling very excited. I don't have a business myself that I could become B Corp certified, but if I did, I would certainly want to get the journey underway. To leave our audience today, when we round things off, we thought we might just ask each of you if there was sort of one thought or one nugget of advice that you would like to leave people with about B Corp, whatever that is. We'd love to hear before we round things off today.
Don't wait for anything, get stuck in. Just give it a go. That would be my key part of advice, yeah.
Awesome.
I'm going to second that, Barbara, that sort of just do it. Just try it. It can't hurt you to try it. You know, go on the BIA, at least take a look. And one of the important things that I went through this whole B Corp journey is understanding that what's measured gets managed. And the more that you measure, the more that you sort of want to improve yourself. And the next day, it's kind of like going to the gym. I'm not going to lift the same weights every day when I go to the gym. I'm going to want to go a little heavier. Every time I go to my assessment, I'm like, oh, we're going to get more points. What can I do? What can I, you know, or where do I fall? Like last year I didn't make best for the world. And I was so ticked. And then I saw the scores of the other people and I was like, oh, I got a long way to go. So now I have a goal for the next round.
Yeah, 100% agree. Just get stuck in. You know, if you don't do it today, one of your competitors will be doing it tomorrow. It's as simple as that. You know, it's just becoming the trend. It's sweeping the world. And exactly what Sirena said, like one of the phrases we use at Grow Good is be better. It's like, just aim to be better. If you can be 1 point better next year, like you've done something better for the world. So yeah.
Well, thank you, Sirena, Barbara, and Tim, for sharing a wealth of information with us today and just your expert opinions and perspectives on this. We've learned so much just in this brief time together. So thank you for sharing all that you have today. And thank you to Sarah Redding for being my co-host today and facilitating this conversation. If anyone watching wants to reach out to any of our lovely panelists, please do so. You can connect them with them here on LinkedIn, and we will tag them in this post, so look for that. So thank you.
Yes, and a big thank you to all our panelists from me as well. It's been exceptional to hear your insights and expertise on B Corp, and hopefully we have inspired some people to start the conversations within their organizations and businesses and get on the journey to becoming B Corp certified. Thank you to Meg as well for co-hosting with me. It's been wonderful to hear all the insights today, and as Meg said, please reach out to our experts. They're all doing wonderful things in the B Corp space, and would love to hear from anyone who has questions or wants to get the journey started.
And you can follow the Circle of Entrepreneurs on LinkedIn and look out for any upcoming events we have. So thank you, and everyone have a great rest of your day.